47 years ago, a crew of mobsters pulled off the largest cash robbery in American history. But why did almost everyone involved end up dead before they could spend a dime? Let's find out on this week's episode of The Internet Says It's True. Hey there! Welcome back to The Internet Says It's True, the podcast where we dive into things that sound completely made up but are absolutely true. I'm Michael Kent. This is part of the WCBE podcast experience. I'm so glad you're here. This is episode 236. Thank you so much for listening. And thanks so much for listening to last week's episode about Painless Parker. If you didn't listen yet, he was the guy who basically made a street show out of his dental practice and sort of invented the idea of medical marketing. That episode is up, and you can listen to that, 235. Later on, we'll be joined by Balchunas, one of the premier balloon artists, and a great guy. Excited to talk to him, have you find out all about what a balloon artist does. And before we get started with this week's show, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy this podcast, which I'm sure some of you do, there are 3 simple ways you can help to support it. First, leave a rating and a review. Go to Apple Podcasts, search for the show, click those 5 stars, type a few words, help us beat the podcast algorithm so more people can find this show. Second, join the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Michael Kent. You'll get ad-free episodes, bonus stories, and Tizitor-only perks. And here's a fun thing. Patreon members get 20% off all merch. Third, grab some merch. It's the internetsaysitstrue.com/merch. There are mugs, shirts. It's a great way to show that you love weird history and sort of show that to the world. All right. Today's story is about a robbery so legendary it inspired movies, FBI task forces, and a body count that piled up faster than the money disappeared. This is the true story of the Lufthansa Heist. New York City in the 1970s wasn't exactly a postcard. The city was broke. Crime was out of control. Corruption ran deep, from the mayor's office to the neighborhood pizzeria. And the mafia? They were booming. Organized crime families ran gambling, loan sharking, construction, and trucking rackets across the city. Airports like JFK were no exception. JFK Airport was massive, chaotic, and, as it turns out, incredibly vulnerable. Every day, millions of dollars in cash shipments moved through the cargo terminals. There weren't heavy security details or armored trucks guarding it, just a few sleepy guards and a lot of paper forms, and plenty of opportunity for someone bold enough to take it. One of the airlines that regularly shipped large amounts of cash was Lufthansa, Germany's flagship airline. They would collect US dollars from soldiers stationed in Germany and fly it back to New York for processing. It wasn't unusual for millions of dollars to sit overnight in JFK's Cargo Building 261 before being picked up, which is exactly what caught the attention of a man named Louis Werner. Louis Werner was a cargo supervisor for Lufthansa. He also had a serious gambling problem. By 1978, Werner was so deep in debt that loan sharks were threatening his life. And when you owe money to the mob, you have 2 options: pay up or help them get paid some other way. Werner chose option 2. Through quiet conversations, he connected with Jimmy Burke, a well-known associate of the Lucchese crime family. Jimmy the Gent Burke wasn't Italian, which meant he could never be a fully made member, but he was one of the most trusted and ruthless earners in the organization, and Jimmy had a reputation for planning big scores. But he also had a reputation for cleaning up loose ends, violently. So when Werner offered him an inside tip about millions of dollars sitting unguarded at JFK, Jimmy Burke didn't hesitate. The plan was simple. Werner would provide the security codes, shift schedules, and vault locations, and Burke would assemble a trusted crew to hit the terminal. They would strike in the early morning hours when security was lowest, get in, grab the money, get out. It was, in theory, the perfect setup. All they needed was a little luck. So in the early hours of December 11, 1978, a black Ford Econoline van rolled up outside Lufthansa Cargo Building 261. Inside were 6 masked men. Waiting inside the building were sleepy guards, a few $1 million in cash, and the chance for one of the biggest robberies in American history. They had the plan, they had the keys, they had the inside man. So what could possibly go wrong? We'll find out after a quick break. I know a couple things that are true about listeners to this show. Number one, a lot of you are in the New York and New Jersey area. And number 2, you need therapy. And I don't say that because I know you. I say that because I think everyone needs therapy. I think that personally, therapy is one of the best things I've ever done. And I know that life has so many challenges. It's not getting easier. And whether it's anxiety, grief, low self-esteem, identity issues, trauma, relationship challenges, looking at the news and seeing what's going on in our country, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by life's challenges. But at Salt River Therapy, their therapists provide you with a safe, affirming space to heal and to grow. They have a boutique practice that offers compassionate, quality therapy for individuals and couples, both in person in Brooklyn and virtually throughout New York and New Jersey. And they specialize in these very things that we were talking about, whether it's anxiety or grief or trauma, relationship challenges, so much more. Now, they accept most New York Aetna plans and have sliding scale rates available. Are you ready to prioritize your mental health? Schedule a free consultation today. Go to saltrivertherapy.com. Let them support you on your journey to well-being.
Hey, I'm Cliff Baumgardner.
And I'm Harrison Stewart.
If you're like us, you probably grew up watching the Discovery Channel classic, Mythbusters.
From rocket cars to chicken cannons, Mythbusters proved there's no question too big, too small, or too ridiculous to put to the test.
Now we're going back to rewatch the show from episode 1, and we want you to follow along. Join us as we revisit every single myth, moment, experiment, and explosion from throughout the show's legendary 14 seasons. Subscribe now so you don't miss one.
I'm John DeSando, host of Back Talk. This podcast is an extension of the long-running, award-winning movie review show, It's Movie Time. Back Talk features additional content and banter with guests about new movies. If you want more insight and information about what's playing now in theaters and online, find Back Talk at the WCBE Podcast Experience on WCBE.org. You'll be happy you did.
There was a time that humans used 100% organic products as healing balms and moisturizers for their skin. Well, I've partnered with an awesome company that wants to get back to those times. Fatco sells organic and responsibly made tallow-based skincare products. For centuries, humans used tallow in skin moisturizers and healing balms, but unfortunately, the topical application of these fats seemed to stop around the same time that animal fats stopped being considered part of a healthy diet. A lot of modern skincare products do more harm than good by stripping your skin of its natural oils. Let's change that. You can try them out now at fatco.com and get 15% off your order by using my promo code INTERNET. Go to theinternetsaysitstrue.com/deals for the link. There was a time that humans used 100% organic products as healing balms and moisturizers for their skin. Well, I've partnered with an awesome company that wants to get back to those times. Fatco sells organic and responsibly made tallow-based skincare products. For centuries, humans used tallow in skin moisturizers and healing balms, but unfortunately, the topical application of these fats seemed to stop around the same time that animal fats stopped being considered part of a healthy diet. A lot of modern skincare products do more harm than good by stripping your skin of its natural oils. Let's change that. You can try them out now at fatco.com and get 15% off your order by using my promo code INTERNET. Go to theinternetsaysitstrue.com/deals for the link.
We're living through the most dynamic time in human history, and what we do as leaders matter. We are the ones that create the leverage to shift directions of our companies, our nonprofits, and our communities. As a leader or an emerging leader, please join me for a dynamic conversation with top thought leaders, academics, and executives to learn more about how to elevate your leadership. I'm Maureen Metcalf. Join us at the WCBE Podcast Experience at wcbe.org. The
heist itself went off without a hitch. The robbers stormed the building, tied up the employees, and forced the night supervisor to open the vault. In less than an hour, they loaded $5 million in cash and nearly $1 million in jewelry into the van. No shots fired, no alarms tripped, no fingerprints left behind. At least not that night. It was an astonishing success. The crew vanished into the New York night, richer than they could have ever dreamed. Jimmy Burke had pulled off the largest cash robbery in American history. Fox News 5 in New York covered the story.
Good evening. December 11th may go down as the day of the biggest robbery in our country's history, and it happened right here in New York. Somewhere between $3 and $5 million in cash and valuables was taken from the Lufthansa cargo terminal out at Kennedy Airport. And the law enforcement officers say that it was carried off with such precision and such daring, you almost have to consider it an inside job. Here's Anthony President.
The heist itself was successful for the men, but the real danger hadn't even started yet. Burke had given his crew strict instructions. No new cars, no extravagant gifts, no showing off. Anyone who's watched any mobster movie knows these rules. In other words, act like you've been here before. And right away, someone blew it. Parnell Stacks Edwards had a simple job: get rid of the getaway van. Drive it to a chop shop in New Jersey, destroy the evidence. Instead, Stacks got high, parked the van outside his girlfriend's apartment in a tow-away zone, and left it there. When police found the van, they discovered fingerprints, fibers, and receipts linking it to the heist. Jimmy Burke knew what had to happen. Stacks Edward was murdered just days later, shot twice in the head. And he wasn't the only one. In the months that followed, at least a dozen people connected to the heist were killed. Jimmy Burke started eliminating anyone he thought might talk. Joe Buddha Monry, gone. Bobby Germain, gone. Louis Cafora, vanished. Even girlfriends and wives of some of the crew members were murdered to keep them silent. The Lufthansa heist didn't just make headlines for the money stolen, it made headlines for the body count. Meanwhile, the FBI launched a massive investigation. They tapped phones, bugged cars, and tailed suspected mobsters. They listened to conversations at weddings and funerals, hoping for a slip-up. And they did hear a lot of celebrating. Lavish weddings, new Cadillacs, diamond necklaces, sudden, suspicious wealth that didn't match anyone's reported income. But it wasn't enough to make the charges stick. So the only person convicted directly was Louis Werner, the inside man. He got 15 years in prison. But Jimmy Burke? Well, he was eventually jailed for unrelated racketeering charges and later died in prison of cancer. So what about all the money? Get this, almost all of it completely vanished. Almost none of the stolen money from the Lufthansa heist was ever recovered. In the chaos that followed the robbery, the cash and jewelry were quietly laundered through underground casinos, loan shark operations, and black market businesses controlled by the mafia. Some of it likely disappeared overseas. Some of it may have been buried, literally. And some of it, investigators believe, was simply pocketed and spent before anyone could track it. Even with decades of FBI surveillance, informants, and court cases, over $5 million from the Lufthansa heist is still missing. It's one of the reasons the heist remains legendary, not just because of how much was stolen, but because the money practically evaporated and no one could ever prove where it went. The Lufthansa heist didn't just make headlines, it became a part of pop culture. The robbery and the bloody fallout directly inspired major parts of Martin Scorsese's 1990 film Goodfellas, based on Nicholas Pileggi's book Wise Guy. Characters like Jimmy Conway, played by Robert De Niro, and Tommy DeVito, played by Joe Pesci, were based on real-life figures tied to the heist. The story has also appeared in dozens of documentaries, TV specials, and true crime books over the years, solidifying its place as one of the most infamous crimes in American history. It's the rare heist that people are still talking about decades later, not just because of what was stolen, but because of the staggering cost it took to pull it off. And even in recent years, decades later, the Lufthansa heist continues to leave mysteries behind. In 2014, Vincent Asaro, a Lucchese family member, was arrested for allegedly helping plan the robbery. But after a trial filled with fuzzy memories and missing witnesses, Asaro was acquitted. Nearly 45 years after the robbery, almost all of those millions remain missing, and nearly everyone who touched it paid for it with their lives. Stealing money was the easy part. The hard part was surviving. The internet says it's true. Now it's time for Yap Yap with me and a friend. Today, I'm talking with Rob the Balloon Guy. Rob Balchunas is an award-winning artist and performer. He combines balloons, magic, comedy, and really, really interesting ways. Rob has used balloons to entertain thousands. He traveled the world, earned his commission earned his admission into Emerson College in Boston. A commission would have been better where they pay you. That would have been great. But in addition to live performance, Rob has consulted for TV commercials, made appearances on TLC, Steve Harvey, Conan O'Brien's Can't Stop, Casey Undercover, An American Horror Story, and you're talking to the guy now who has won all sorts of awards. Top Twister in 2011, Designer of the Year 2013, all over LA and New England. What's going on, Rob?
Hey, not too much.
I should first ask you, did I get all that right? Is that close enough?
Yeah, all of that's great.
I was curious about the one thing on your thing about the documentary Conan O'Brien Can't Stop. Now, how you said you made an appearance on that?
Yeah, so actually 15 years ago yesterday, I met Conan at his, I forget what it was called, but it was his tour that he did after he lost The Tonight Show and before he went to TBS. So there was a VIP meet and greet package, and I bought that and got to meet him after the show. And I made him a little balloon Conan. And we had signed a release for something. Like, we knew we were being filmed. I had no idea what for. And then my friend saw the movie. They made a documentary about the tour, and she saw it at IFF Boston and was like, dude, you're in the movie. And I'm
That's
like, awesome.
Wow.
So there's like a quick 5-second clip of me.
Okay, and then my next question, how did you earn your admission into Emerson College in Boston using balloons?
So for Emerson, part of the admission or the application was a creative submission. And so I sent 5 photos of some of the coolest balloon work that I had done at the time. And in my acceptance letter, they wrote, "We loved your balloons." So,
oh, cool. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty good reason for people that are going to college to learn how to do balloons. That's one more way to show them your artistic integrity. So before we get into it too much, I've been doing the new segment where I ask my guests to come up with a fact that maybe they think I haven't heard about. Can you tell me maybe if there's a true fact that you think there's little chance I've heard before?
Sure. I don't know if you'll know this one, but I'm insanely passionate about the circus. And nowadays, with everything going on in the world and all that, everyone loves to equate the government to a circus and how chaotic and disorganized things are. But in truth, the circus is a well-oiled machine. And going back to like 1905, I think, the U.S. Army studied the circus to see how they got in and out of places, how they transported people, because they were able to transport people, feed them, house them so efficiently. And so they used the circus to learn how to move troops.
Wow. I didn't know that. That is a winner. I'd never heard that. That's incredible. I don't know if I've told you this before. Have we ever talked about the Milwaukee airport?
I don't think so.
I think it's named after Billy Mitchell, the aviator. There's a used bookstore in the Milwaukee airport in the outside of the TSA area. Okay. And it's one of the coolest bookstores ever because it's very disorganized, stuff laying everywhere, and a lot of used books. It's like a bookstore you'd find outside of an airport. And for whatever reason, and I know the reason, but there's a huge section about the circus in this bookstore because Milwaukee has a really, really large circus history. And so I have found some of the coolest stuff. And I'm not sure I ever brought any home. They've had a lot of magic books too that I've bought there. I'm not sure if I've bought any of the circus books that they have, but I always look through them. And they probably have a larger circus book section than anywhere. So next time you're in Milwaukee, make sure you check out the bookstore. I don't even remember the name of the bookstore, but it's inside the airport there. Really neat little airport find. It's like you don't find stuff like that in airports very often.
Yeah, next time I'm there, I'll check it out.
So let's get into the quiz this week. Question 1, we're gonna play for a joke. So if you get it wrong, you gotta tell me a joke. If you get it right, we'll pull one out of the joke book. Here's your question: what was the Lufthansa heist? Was it A, a hijacking of a plane, B, a robbery at JFK Airport, or C, a bank robbery in Germany?
Oh man.
I can give you a date too. This happened in 1978.
1978. Okay. I immediately want to go to aviation. What was the first answer?
It was a hijacking of a plane, a
Okay.
robbery at JFK Airport, or a bank robbery in Germany.
Okay, heist. I'm gonna go with B.
The answer, believe it or not, it's B, a robbery at
Oh.
JFK Airport. They robbed one of the buildings in the cargo terminal at JFK Airport. $5 million. It was a mafia robbery, and it's a crazy, crazy story. Basically ended with a bunch of people dying to cover up the heist. So, yeah, really crazy story. The after the heist is almost as interesting or more interesting than the actual heist. And so you got it right. I'll get my joke book out. Tell me a number between 1 and 500.
432.
All right, let's look at 432. There's 432. This, I don't even know. What's the category? Oh, the category is oral sex.
Oh.
And I don't even, this is a weird joke. What's LXIX?
I don't know. What?
69, the hard way. What a dumb joke.
That's also a Roman numerals joke.
Yeah, not many of those. What do yuppies call mutual oral sex?
I don't know. What?
60 something. I don't get this. Do you get that one?
No.
I don't. This will go back a page. Why do so many women fake orgasms?
I don't know. Why?
Because so many men fake foreplay. See, that's a good one. That one's okay. The rest of them are horrible. Here's a Jonathan Katz joke. My wife insists on turning on... No, sorry. My wife insists on turning off the lights when we make love. That doesn't bother me. It's the hiding that seems so cruel. These are horrible. Oh, man. I need to find... I got to stop using the joke book. I'm sorry, everyone. That was a horrible experience. Let's move on. Question 2, we're going to play for doing the dishes. If you get it wrong, you got to do the dishes. If you get it right, I got to do my dishes. In which major New York City airport opened before JFK and was originally called Idlewild Airport? Was it A, LaGuardia, B, JFK International Airport, or C, Newark Liberty International Airport? So this airport was originally called Idlewild. Was it LaGuardia, JFK, or Newark?
I think I'm going to go with Newark.
The answer, JFK. It was renamed. It was kind of a trick question because it was opened before JFK. But JFK Airport was originally called Idlewild before being renamed, and it was renamed after President Kennedy's assassination. So that's when it got the JFK moniker. So unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell you, Rob, you got to do the dishes.
My roommate will like that.
That's good. That's good. Now, where are you these days? Where are you living?
I just moved to Burbank, California.
Oh, fun. Is it nice in Burbank? I mean, I've been to Burbank, but is it nice to live in Burbank?
Yeah. Today was a little bit rainy, but now the sun's out, which is nice. A lot of magicians nearby, which is fun. We're within walking distance of a really cool street, Magnolia Boulevard, and they have a lot of odd and spooky shops there.
Oh.
So it's a nice place.
I did Joker's Comedy Club. Is that right? No. What's the name
Flappers?
of the Flappers. I did Flappers. Yes. Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank once, which is, I believe, like connected to a mall maybe, or across the street from a mall.
Yeah, it's kind of in like a big complex.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good time. Me and Jonathan Burns, one of our other frequent guests, did that. And then we did when you do Flappers, you have to, well, not, you don't have to, but if you perform on Sunday night, she likes it if you come in and do Sunday during the day, and they have a show for kids called 2 Milk Minimum.
Yep, I've done that.
Oh my God. I am not great with unsupervised children. There was a kid wrapped around the microphone stand at one point during that show. It was rough, but Jonathan killed it because he's amazing at performing for children. Let's move on for question number 3. We're going to play for a prize of $5 million.
Ooh.
You're going to win $5 million. There is a little bit of a stipulation here. Only if one of us has $5 million. So basically, if you get it wrong, I have to pay you, or you have to pay me $5 million if you have $5 million. If you get it
Mhm.
right, I will gladly pay you $5 million if I have $5 million. Okay.
Sure.
Question 3. In organized crime slang, what does it mean when someone is made? Is it A, they were killed, B, they became a fully initiated member of the mafia, or C, they robbed a bank?
Go through those once more.
Sure. A, they were killed, B, they became a fully initiated member of the mafia, or C, they robbed a bank.
My understanding was always like someone was uh caught or seen, so I'm gonna go with A.
The answer, it's B, they became a fully initiated member of the... And usually this is used in, if you watch like gangster movies, it generally means like the person becomes untouchable. If they become a made man, like, you see this in Goodfellas and whatnot. Now, being made does also mean that they were sort of found out or caught, but that's more what like an undercover cop would use it in that sense, right? If we just got made means that they found us, they discovered us. But yeah, for the mafia, it means fully initiated member of the mafia, which means you owe me $5 million if you have $5 million.
Okay.
Do you have $5 million?
I currently do not.
Okay, then there's no penalty for this one.
Okay.
So yeah,
If I ever do, I will send it to you.
Thanks. Yeah, all of it, just at once is fine. Just a lump sum, I'll take
Okay.
that. Question 4. We're playing for something very interesting. Question 4. If you get it wrong, you have to be deeply and sorrowfully regretful that you get it wrong.
Okay.
If you get it right, no penalty whatsoever. Which famous Las Vegas casino was heavily tied to mafia skimming operations in the 1970s and 1980s? Was it A, the Flamingo, B, the Stardust, or C, the Mirage? One of these was heavily tied to mafia skimming in the 70s and 80s. Kind of a hard one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Stardust.
The answer, B, Stardust. You got that one
Oh,
right? Yeah, so the Stardust was a major hub for mob-controlled operations in the 70s and 80s, which I never knew. Never knew that. Historically, you hear about like a lot of Vegas casinos historically were, tied to the mob, but the Stardust has a particular, history in that. So, so no penalty. You got it right. You don't have to be sorrowful or regretful for getting that wrong at all. So what do you have coming up? Any fun gigs coming
no
up?
regrets.
What is it?
Yeah, no regrets. Yeah, so in tomorrow I am heading to Denver to teach at the Clowns of America International Convention.
Tell me about that. What will you be teaching?
So I'm teaching a couple of balloon classes. Nick DeFat is teaching some magic. I'm gonna get to see some friends who I don't get to see too often.
That
But
sounds
our
awesome.
friend is the director of education and asked me if I wanted to come, and I'm like, I've never been to a clown convention, so why not?
I've never been to a clown convention either. I'm picturing this the same way that our audience is probably picturing it, and that is a bunch of clowns in full makeup going to a convention together. I'm sure that's not what it is, but I'm really anxious to hear when you get back whether or not that was the case. Because you've been to magic conventions.
Yeah.
You know that there are always a handful of magicians that come to the convention in their show clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
pathetic.
sure there's going to be a
and
bunch
hilarious.
of that.
Yeah, they come with like sequined jackets and top hats. Especially like, I don't know. I guess if you're a magician and you don't get to hang around magicians a lot, it's your one chance to really feel accepted in those clothes. But it's a ridiculous thing to come to a convention to learn things and be in your show clothes. So yeah. If there are clowns in clown makeup, I want pictures.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, good deal.
And then I'll be back in Denver in June because I'm working at a theme park in Connecticut on the weekends, and then during the week I'm doing a lot of corporate dates. So I'm going to Denver, Dallas, Salt Lake City. So June I am all over the place.
So when when people think about like balloon artists,
Mm-hmm.
there are two different things. So there's the idea of making balloon animals.
Yes.
Is that a thing you do?
Yes, that is
Okay.
a thing I do.
But what I think is, I mean, and that's super impressive. I can make one,
Mhm.
maybe two balloon animals that I've ever learned. But what also you do is you build things out of balloons, like static sculptures and arches and decorations for events. What is, how are those things differentiated in the world of balloon art? Like, what are they called?
Yeah, so there's balloon twisters and balloon decorators.
Okay.
Those are the two major terms. And I do both of those in addition to performing with balloons on stage. So I kind of have my feet in a lot of different worlds in the balloon overall arching world.
Okay, awesome. And what do you have a favorite? Which do you prefer?
Right now, my favorites have been creating like large scale sculptures and not just like standard decorations, but actual things. Like we did a project called Balloon Story last year in New York, and it was this giant immersive walkthrough experience. And so I got to build some really cool pieces for that. And then I'm also love performing on stage, and I've been working on my show a bunch. So those two have been kind of keeping my interest mostly.
Yeah, and the stage performance is sort of a third thing I didn't mention. I mean, that's completely different than the other two, and people don't usually think of balloon artists being on stage.
Yeah, it used to be a lot more because people used to come into balloons either through clowning or through magic, and so they had a performance background already. But nowadays, a lot of people come in just being interested in the craft of making balloons, so they don't necessarily have a performance background.
Sure. I'm just now remembering I had you on the show 2 years ago, almost to the date, 2 years
Mhm.
ago, because we did a story about balloons. And so look for that one. It was from late March or early April of 2022, and it was about the Cleveland balloon disaster, which was a very famous balloon story that happened in Cleveland. I won't ruin it for you, but go watch that one. Listen to that one. It's pretty great. Well, so far, you've done wonderful. You're 2 for 4. That's 500. But this one is going to tip the scale either way. This is question 5. If you get it right, you're welcome back on the show. If you get it wrong, you are banned forever. Here is your question. If you, Rob Balchunas, could plan the perfect heist with no consequences, what would you steal and why?
Hmm.
Like, imagine for a moment you're not a good guy. And there's no consequences about from whom you steal or what you steal. They're never going to come back on you.
I would steal money from several billionaires, leaving them with maybe $1 or $2 billion, so they're not like completely out of it. But I'd walk away with several $1 billion and use that for my own personal amusement, but also donate a lot of it to help make the world a better place.
Man, you're too good of a guy. That's a fantastic answer.
I guess so.
And no victims there. Like those billionaires, they might have one less yacht, and that's awesome. That's a great answer. That's more than I could have said and come up with. Fantastic. Rob the Balloon Guy. You may have heard of Rob the Balloon Guy because his business card has gone viral multiple times. His business card literally says Rob the Balloon Guy. And then what's the subtitle on that? No, don't. It's just my name.
That's just my name. Don't actually rob me.
I love it. I love it. And last week, so it's a very famous image of Rob the Balloon Guy's business card. Last week, everyone was posting their own action figures. Rob took it one more step. Instead of using AI to make an action figure, Rob actually twisted his own out of balloons. And you can see that on his social media. Where can people find out about Rob the Balloon Guy?
Right now, I am most active on my Instagram, which is my name, Rob Balchunas. That's ROBBALCHUNAS.
Wonderful. It was so cool having you back on the show, Rob. I hope to have you back soon.
Thanks, Michael.
That's all for this week. Thank you so much to Rob Balchunas and to you for listening every week. Here's the voice of a kid who can't decide if it's pronounced Lufthansa or Lufthansa.
Thank you for listening to The Internet Says It's True. To listen to episodes ad-free and a week early, support us on Patreon. You can do that at patreon.com/Michael Kent. If you learned something just now that you didn't already know, go to the Apple Podcast app and leave us a review with 5 stars and a few words. That helps us a ton, because that's how the algorithm works. I don't know what an algorithm is, but just do it! See you next week for a brand new episode of The Internet Says It's True!
The Internet Says It's True would like to thank the Patreon subscribers whose monthly contributions help to make this show possible. Sean Brown, Joshua Endress, Dallas Ray, Bryce Swanson, Eugene Anderson, Jim and Joanne Martin, Mitch and Andrew Joseph Kemplin, and the show's official Emperor, Kick Track. The show is written and produced by me, Michael Kent. The theme song is by Finite Music Forge, and all audio clips in this episode are used for education and commentary and used under Fair Use Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107. You can listen to past episodes by searching for The Internet Says It's True wherever you get your podcasts, and you can see bonus content at patreon.com/Michael Kent.